and soon here.
Ooh.
Oh, shit. Guys come down the road fast. And you gotta film. Whoa!
On what?
The last turn.
Oh.
That's the gnarliest.
Yellow lights on. What does that mean?
See ya! This means there's not quite enough light for it to get.
Oh, there's a dog coming too. Watch the puppy. It's on your right.
Keep filming. Keep filming.
God, that dog goes through all that too.
I gotta get out and look at this. Yeah, this will be a good one.
This will scrape everything on the bottom.
Ugly.
Screw up everything underneath the car. Oh. Oh.
It'll be okay. Oh. Ooh. Boy. You almost got it. We made it. Of course, I don't know what damage I did to the bottom of the car. No, we want the fuzz in the background. No, in the foreground.
He's going to start arresting us here for trespassing. If you get low, I don't know if it's feasible for you.
Yeah, where's Ben's car?
When you shoot up like this,
Fucking pigs.
Can you see the windsock? I'd like to get that in the corner of the picture too, in all those mountains, okay? Thank you, but get down low by thanks.
Yeah, we won't show this to Ben car, huh?
Hey, Ken, you aren't going to be in the picture.
Oh, I'm not?
Come on, Ken.
Okay, I'm almost done here.
Yeah, he's almost done too, Ken.
Are you ready?
Here we have Ken Dennis being arrested by the local. Sap him! And he's being taken away. What's the charge, officer?
Oh, Ken, get the trees.
Hurry up, Ken.
Don't straighten out my hair.
Straighten out your hair. She's carrying those battery packs.
Sean's great on it. This is the conversation.
Can you get the clouds coming over the top of that snow creek up there?
So why don't you explain then?
Well, it appears as though it is blowing about 40 miles an hour up on top.
Howling. The wrong way, right?
And that's why we're not flying.
That's why
Yeah.
we're not, that's right.
They would be in New Mexico before they could Bonnie's getting you for Christmas.
You think those guys are up to lunch yet?
Probably soon. I'll go over there and listen. I got it out real loud.
cycling up 10 to 15?
Yeah, he said it was a lot better than yesterday.
So how did the cloud development look in the distance? Looks like it's getting pretty heavy here. Almost looks bad enough to rain.
Where's the other one?
Naked Margaret.
Anyway, so that's where I was.
What's it say? Spin the prop.
The sequence of the T-shirt factory here. Major aspect of the trip.
Right. How we spent our afternoon in the T-shirt shop.
Truck bearing down on us.
Oh no, here comes the truck.
Oh my God.
It's a
Well, are we having fun yet?
yes, we are.
You haven't got it yet?
Are we ready to?
Quick bite? Well, I think what we're going to do is basically get everyone into a eating.
There's Kenny again.
Ta-da!
documentation of Ken de Russy breaking the law. Look at that obvious experience. You can see the brown roach burns on his fingertips, signs of an obvious
Remember that when you back in the
strung
old
out
days,
dope addict.
you'd have those fingers and people could tell you
Ken, you can't cough on camera, I'm sorry.
the smoke is going right onto the sidewalk where these straight 50-year-olds are.
All right, KD. That's Hank's office. Over there. A lot of good stuff. Come on, KD.
There's another one. A man with a real weird tail. Yeah, look at his tail. Yeah. Isn't that strange? He's actually got a point on it.
This one looks like the lizard.
Yeah. Acts kind of like the lizard.
He's so cute.
He's real sweet. Right. You see his tail?
What a weird looking tail, KD.
Meow. Meow. Obviously a little lady.
Nice cats.
Yeah.
Mountain cats.
Did you see the cat and dog in our hotel? There's Bear and Marshall.
Anybody to make any more claims out that way, so they moved up here and cut some trees down and started this town. It was they called it Columbia. But some of the city dads, they said, phew, every state has a Columbia, let's be different. So they came up with the name Telluride from the mineral tellurium. I can't see any sense in it, but I guess they did. And they still Telluride, so that's where they got it. And then it's been, mining has kind of closed down now. And the price of metals are just terribly low. They just can't afford to get out. And if there is gold and silver, lead, zinc, copper, whatnot out in the hills, if you just knew where to go. We have a map in here that shows hundreds and hundreds of claims in the early days. They're on top of each other, different levels. Because any wonder they had fighting. If you were up there and you fell on the guy down below you, he might not like it, might he? So anyway, it's now has changed from a mining town to a ski country, and they're just going to make a new runs all the time, and just it's just. But I still like the old mining days better. And I can't do anything about it. So you folks stick around and ask questions, and I'll try to answer them. Don't make them too hard though.
Try not to.
And if you tell me what that pile of junk out there is, you get a prize. I think I maybe do that.
It's been redone. I think partitions, it didn't matter. And
There's three.
That's on the school. That's their second address. This was the dollar slice of peaches opening. No, it's
kind of rifles are those?
Bolt action. Turn of the century models. Probably
Well, yes,
30-6s.
a Winchester and a Remington, and they're almost identical, bolt for bolt. That's weird. Like identical copies. Are Winchester and Remington the same company?
The Swedes and the Finns go down that way, the Norwegians, the Basque Sea Persians. Where is the man that guessed what this thing was?
Who did
Oh, I never guessed. I thought it was a...
And Nikolai Tesla.
That is the one that was up at the...
No, that one was built many years later. Kids
Oh.
downtown that don't know what they're talking about, that was built in 1904.
Oh, okay.
But nothing as big and
This
huge
was one
as
that was built in 1891?
1890.
By Nikolai Tesla?
By Nikolai
The
Tesla,
Russian?
Yugoslavian.
Yeah.
Yugoslavian.
Right.
He'd come in here years and years ago and nearly burned Colorado Springs down by trying to harness lightning. He was experimenting. That picture is in here.
Oh.
But
And this is the armature to the power plant that was up on the top of the falls.
no, this is way down at Ames. You go back
Oh.
45, way back up there and go toward Ophir, down in the canyon.
Right.
And
Not
the building
that
is
powered
still-
a mine or something like that, right?
Yeah. Got it over here in town. And the very first town in the, they got it over here. And they built it back in Western. Sell out and Nikolai Tesla got together. In the meantime, this LL man had a mine way up at the Ophir, way back up in the Gold King Basin.
Yeah.
And he found beautiful gold up in there. But he had no way of bringing it down. And except in his pocket, riding on a horse. And he couldn't bring very much down that way. And he got interested in some way to get it down here. In the meantime, Edison had put in a little line of the direct current out here in the west end of town. But everybody was afraid of it. This was a good idea, I think. But LL then got to thinking, well, if it goes that far along on the line, why not add more line and give a charge along? And so he came up with this idea, and he went to Edison. Edison's a very stubborn fellow. I don't know if you've ever heard that. You're not in relation to him, are you? I've heard he was a very, very stubborn fellow. And he went to Edison, and Edison flipped his lid and told him where to go. He didn't want to go where he told him to go. He went to Westinghouse instead, and there he met this Nikolai Tesla. And they just got along beautiful and forgot the whole world and worked day after day after day trying this, trying that, until after months and months and months, almost a year, they hoped it would work, and they turned the switch on and it ran. And now, was it you that guessed that? Mm-hmm. Okay, you ready for your picture now? Your prize?
Sure.
Okay, you take it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I did forget to give it to you.
Mm-hmm. I'll take it.
The colors change in trees?
Yes.
That is a
Yeah,
huge...
there's a lot. There's a definite difference now. Before it was real gradual. More snow.
Look out for camera D. Camera Ken. Oh my camera. What would this?
There's another drill there.
Oh my God! So you had to hold that?
Yeah.
Jeez. Powered by steam.
Yeah.
All right.
Big picture postcards. You got him?
Yeah, I got him. I got him.
Bye.
That's a different cat.
Oh yes, yes, another one. Oh, you didn't see the ones on the other side.
There's some friendly ones down the road here.
Don't roll on the road, it's wet. You're going to the right a little bit. Now you're going to the left.
Another shot just of the.
Okay, they're calling Elmo's Fire the Little Big... here at FM 95.
Only gone about halfway. This looks kind of like Firth.
Hold it up. Mesa Verde, Dolores.
Being together is even nicer with Sensi, because not even mouthwash can freshen your breath better than when you're chewing great tasting Sensi.
Good morning. Wednesday morning in the rain of the Cycle Dive Odyssey, Part 2. Dave Lowe gets burned out on the rain. So your jacket got soaked from using it for a foot pad, huh?
It's a pillow for my feet.
This is a joke about the Frenchman that went to sleep as soon as his feet hit the pillow.
No,
I think that has something to do with oral sex or something.
you hear the punchline on that.
you look like.
Huh?
Let's see what you look like in your rain suit here.
I'm sure it looks stunning.
You look stunning. You're going to be the star of my home movie.
Can you get anything down here?
Well, it shows up surprisingly well. I mean, it's hard to see, of course, but... The passageway in the lower left is only about 2.5 feet tall by about 18 inches wide, and the window top center is a little smaller than that, a little narrower, maybe only 12 inches wide, just for perspective.
Oh, Kelly, he did not hurt you that much.
Things to do with agriculture. They were pretty. In this dwelling, there's 114 rooms here, and so we anywhere from 125 to 150 probably.
Yeah.
Oh, look at these.
What? And show them. For National Geographic, it's a surprise story. It's going to be in next month's issue, and it's all about why people do risky things. You know, the last trip we lost 3 people, so we're going to interview you after you complete the trip, and then next month you'll see your face in National Geographic. It's going to be the first issue. It's going to be the first issue coming out with a video fold-out. Okay, no problem. No problem. It can't be that hard. It can't be any harder than what I did on Saturday, flying with a video camera. Wouldn't that be terrible? Get skunked because I couldn't climb a ladder and I flew with a glider, flew with a camera.
Oh, I thought you were going to try to go in that little crevice.
Wow. Yeah, God, I was beginning to have second thoughts. I don't know.
To play our game, everyone would squeeze in there a lot more tight.
That's probably like the guy at Disneyland on an adventure ride boat. You know?
BB Bumblebee, I see something you don't see, and what would that be? Why did we stop here? What's here to see? Remember, there you go. Remember, that's what an archaeologist does for a living. He looks for stuff. And unless you look real well, you miss some stuff like this right here. Hand and toe holds. You can still see the pebbling effect of the stone axe when it chipped this out a good 700 years ago. Now this one here is just a couple of them, and maybe this wasn't even a hand and toe hold trail. Maybe they're just practicing. They were little kids fooling around. Or maybe they're going here and then on up the crevice. I'm not really sure. But this one only does go up to this ledge area. The way we're going to go in and out of Balcony Hills both are totally our guy I'm doing now. Not one rung at a time like this. It takes twice as many steps that way, and therefore twice as many chances to fall. Now, if you have a problem with heights or ladders, just stare straight ahead at the rock. Don't look up and don't look down, and that should help you. Now, when you get up to the top of the ladder, I need you to turn left and go through a narrow little passageway.
Now you said they come from a tunnel back under that way to get up there? How'd they get up there?
Through that tunnel and on down the ledge.
Oh, down that way?
Bonnie, up on a ladder. Bonnie, don't look down. How is it, John?
It's fabulous.
Really good lift, huh?
Und langsam. Langsam.
Schau, wie langsam ich bin. So langsam ist was lieb. Ich bin ja schon zu Hause oft auf einer Leiter.
Warte, wie viel langsam, Martin? Martin, langsam. Ja, wir sind schon fast oben.
We made it the first time.
Thought about that.
You know, why did the Anasazi move underneath the cliffs here and build the cliff dwellings around 1200 AD after they've been living up on top of the mesas for a good 700 years? That's where the majority, 90% of their history is up there on top of the mesa. They're occupying the tops of the mesas from around 550 AD up to about 1200 AD. Then they make this population shift underneath here and build the cliff dwellings. You want to remember that every single cliff dwelling you'll see in this park was built, lived in, and abandoned between 12 and 1300 AD. What we're looking at here, a balcony house, is about a 76-year occupation, and that's it. Not very long at all, really. But if you take a look around, you might be able to come up with some ideas why you think maybe they'd want to live under here. And I want to hear them. Think I'm going to talk for an hour and you guys are going to listen?
Out of the rain, out of the wind.
I would say that makes the best deal of sense to me. The fact that they came down here for environmental reasons, to get out of the bad weather, especially in the winter time. We do get 80 to 100 inches of snow here in the winter time, 0-degree temperatures and very high velocity winds. It's not a very fun place to be in the winter time. You know, good up there on top of the mesa. We know that because we see nicely formed and decorated pottery. That tells us that this time, this culture had leisure time. If you've got leisure time, that tells you you're doing pretty well. If you're spending 24 hours a day for sheer survival, you don't have time to make nice pottery or decorate it. So that would tell us that they were living pretty good in the 1100s. And even though I think the Anasazi thought life was pretty good all through the 1100s up there on top of the mesa, little problems are starting to creep up on the culture up there and taking its toll on the culture. Some of the things you might have happening in the 1100s, one, as your population is increasing all throughout your history, what do you have to do? Well, you have to make more and more farmland to support that population growth, because these people were farmers growing corn, beans, and squash up on top of the mesa. You also got to cut down more trees for firewood, don't you, as time goes by. So as their history goes by, they're stripping more and more of the forest away. And I'd say in the 1100s, you might not even be able to see one single tree from where you're looking out right now, because they'd stripped the forest for maybe a good 5 miles. That's going to have a couple effects. If you're up on top of the mesas, there's always wind blowing up these canyons here. But if you don't have any trees to block that wind, and that increased wind up on top of the mesa is going to cause a microclimatic change up there. Wind cools things off. That's going to cool the top of the mesa off when you strip all those trees off. That's going to shorten your growing season up there, and that's going to give you a problem growing crops, isn't it? Because here we have just long enough of a growing season to get those crops in. The other thing the wind does is it dries things out. That's going to require corn and bean crops to draw more moisture out of the ground to keep growing. And we have very limited moisture here, only about 18 inches a year. So that's going to create problems for growing crops as well. So I'd say they started having problems growing enough crops to feed themselves in the late 1100s. The other problem you have happening in the 1100s maybe is just simple social problems. Because in the beginning, back during the pit house area and in the developmental Pueblo period, when they're just starting to develop the stone architecture up there, they're living in very small groups, maybe 10 or 20 people in a group. By the time 1100 rolls around, now they're building large complexes up on top of the mesa, now living in groups of 200 or 300 people, like up at Farview Rooms, if you stop by there. There are 100 sites within a half square mile of that place, a very large concentration of population. That could have caused them some social problems. Maybe they didn't know how to handle living in these more complex social organizations that would be required by living in groups of 200 or 300 than in very simple small groups. And that could have caused some social problems up there. Other thing you have happening in the late 1100s and the beginning of the 1200s are refugees from other Anasazi areas that were abandoned before Mesa Verde was. Because the entire Four Corners region was abandoned by the Anasazi, and they were occupying all of that at one time. Mesa Verde is one of the very last places to go. 100 miles southeast of this here, you have Chaco Canyon, just down south where Farmington, New Mexico is today. Down there, the Chaco Anasazi were more advanced than the Mesa Verde Anasazi were here. Architecture is much better. Everything that happens down there happens about 100 years before it happens here. But for some reason, even though the Chaco Anasazi were more advanced, they also die out earlier. Chaco dies out in the mid-1100s. There were maybe 7,000 Anasazi living down there. Well, what happened to them when they left Chaco? I'm sure some of them came up here because they heard life was still good up here and started living with the Mesa Verde Anasazi. And you see Chaco Canyon architecture up here, so there's some evidence to support that theory. So not only were these people having enough problems growing crops for the people already living here in the late 1100s, all of a sudden you may get another 1,000 or so people streaming up here very slowly to swell your population even more. And now you've got big problems. As the 1200s progress, things are getting worse and worse and worse. There are about 40 years of drought in the 1200s. So that's going to really play havoc with growing crops up there. So by the time 1250 or so AD rolls around, I'm going to say that there is mass malnutrition here, if not outright starvation, like in Ethiopia, like you've been reading about in the last year. Same kind of stuff happening here. So what happens with the people at Hemingway House right across the canyon there? They're starving to death over there, and they don't have any corn supplies. And they know the people at Balcony House here still have 6 months of corn supplies left in their granaries here. What do you think they're going to do about that? They're going to come over here and say, hey, we want some corn. And of course, the balcony house people are gonna be like, sorry, we need all the corn we can get our hands on too, because things aren't very nice here either. So what are the Hemingway people out going to do? They're going to bring their stone axes along with them for insurance, and they're going to start bashing some people in the head to get some corn. So I would say that's the reason maybe we see some defensive structures in this park, and the reason we don't see mass warfare. There was sporadic violence, so I'm going to tell you, caused by the raiding of each other's dwellings to steal corn supplies. So the enemy these people had to be afraid of towards the lasting occupation here, I'm going to tell you, was their very own neighbors. Before that, before the cultural breakdown took place, though, this was the depletion of natural resources. Those are the ceremonial chambers. What they're doing here, again, to show you how much work was involved in constructing a place like this, they're building a retaining wall here, and then backfilling with dirt behind the retaining wall to level off the and that's what I would expect to find. That's the way all the modern day pueblos are as well. You know, even our culture still has the vestige of the surface of the earth, the mystical underworld. That's the reason kivas are underground structures. By going underground, you're becoming closer to that spiritual source for Pueblo Indians, which is down there, not up in the sky like most Christians would view heaven as being. Every time their world would become corrupt, it'd be destroyed by the gods. But before it was destroyed, a goddess by the name of Spider Woman would come and collect all the good people and lead them to the next world, which is above the world below it. And she would always lead them through a hole in the ground, through a sea. The fourth time, she led them out onto the present-day surface of our earth, again through a sea poplar or through a hole in the ground. That's how the Hopis got to be up on technology. And if they did, this culture would probably still be here today. But they weren't able to do that, so they're gone. That's what the Europeans.
It's not that bad.
So ein Pech, ha? Schau, du einen Indianer-Dunkelkännchen kriegen. Ja. Vorsichtig, Martin, du musst ein bisschen weiterklettern. Das darf man im Kopf. Komm, ne? Vorsichtig, ja, sie ist echt steil. Vorsichtig. Vorsichtig, Martin. Ja, da vorne auf die Martin. Vorsichtig. Vorsichtig, ein bisschen Studio. Englisch-Stoff. Wo sollen die Großen erst mal? Warte ein bisschen, Martin. Warte. Und jetzt kommt es, ne? Genau. Mitwerfen, komm. Bitte mach den, komm, halt dich fest. Warte, bitte. Festhalten. Ja. Ja. Ab. Gut. Gut gemacht.
No, it wasn't. Their hands rolled on down the canyon down there.
We all got out.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Stand over there. It kind of proved that everybody basically.
Can you imagine the work it took to get all this?
Yeah, I was wondering where he would have gotten all the wood.